Hi, I'm Danny Lipford.
And I'm Chelsea Lipford-Wolf.
Thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner here on YouTube. And don't forget to leave us a like and a comment.
And be sure to share with a friend, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get notified of new videos.
Thanks and enjoy the show. There are a lot of unique finishes that can be created for your walls. This week, we'll show you how.
Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Get ready for a half hour full of projects, tips, and ideas to help you improve your home.
Welcome to the show this week. You know, it used to be if you wanted to do something to your interior walls, it was either painting or wallpaper or a little of both. Nowadays, there are so many unique finishes that are available for your home to allow you to put a little bit of personality in every room in your house. This week, we'll talk with a professional decorative painter about some of the tricks that he uses to create these wonderful decorative finishes. And a little later, we'll show you a few tricks on how you can achieve the same results on your own. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, a bathroom like this is a very popular place for decorative finishes to be applied to the walls, and a guy that knows a lot about decorative finishes, David Walton. David, you've been at this a number of years. How have things changed over the years in terms of decorative finishes?
Well, over the past 10 years or so, it still continues to grow in popularity. One of the greatest things I've seen is homeowners doing it yourself. A lot of that is a lot more popular.
Now, does that hurt you as a professional, though?
Oh,
or is
not
that
at all.
cutting you out of any work?
Not at all. You would think that it might,
Right.
but really what has happened is it made it so much more popular. And you still got a lot of folks that are going to pay a professional. And the rank of the professionals has grown too, to where you might call it healthy competition, but there's plenty of work for all of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a few of the different techniques you hear about sponging. Tell us a little bit about the sponging technique.
Well, do a lot of that. That's a real simple technique that's good for a beginner, a homeowner, where you can take a sponge, a sea sponge, put paint or glaze, which is a clear medium with color added to it, and apply that to a wall or a surface using several different colors or however many you choose.
Okay, and then ragging, I guess, is very similar to that, just a slightly different look.
Yes, in this particular case, to get this leather look, we're using a ragging technique that I call rag stippling.
Okay.
And we'll apply the glaze over a whole area at a time, and I'll blot it and rag it off.
Okay.
Now, there's another way of doing it that's real popular, and I recommend this to the beginners, is that you actually sop your rag totally in the glaze or the paint.
I see.
It gets a little messy. You might want to wear some gloves, and then you would actually apply different areas, leaving spots of the base color showing. And you can do a couple colors, and that's real simple because you don't have the problem with the drying edges that you do with this particular technique that I'm doing here today.
Okay, all right. And this does have that kind of leather look to it, and you mentioned it's a kind of a rag stippling, I guess.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Well, now, tell us a little bit about the process. I know that you've taped up this area, and this is one of the last areas in the bathroom you have to do. But I understand that the painting of this is very important, that you just can't come in on a bare wall and start doing faux finishes like this.
Right. We want the wall to be primed. In this case, I had my buddy John, the painter, come in here first and prime the walls, and then do 2 coats of either eggshell or satin, or you can use a semi-gloss. You just don't want to use a flat paint because that'll soak up the glaze. It'll soak right in, drink it up. So we do that and get the wall good and ready where it'll work.
Okay, all right. And then when you get started on it, do you actually start on one side, in the middle? Do you do the whole wall? What do you prefer? What do you recommend to homeowners on that?
I'm right-handed. I like to start from the right and go to the left. I've got this last wall to do, so I'm going to start over here on the right and move that way.
Okay, all right. Got a nice small roller.
Yeah, you can use a large roller if you're on a big wall. And like I said, it helps if you have 2 people doing it, but I'm just one person and I'm a one-man show and I do it all here. And I'll put an area on at a time and totally cover it.
Okay.
You see?
And then do you generally have to wait very long before you start the ragging?
No, you should start immediately. The biggest concern, like I mentioned before, is the edges will start to dry up on you sometime, and so you don't want to let it sit too long. See?
Okay, and you generally use a dry rag like that, or
Yes.
what's best on that?
Yes, use it till it starts getting too sopped up where it's not removing anymore, then you change rags.
Okay, all right. I noticed you kind of stopped at a diagonal like that. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, and I try to weave it in and out, so in case you do have a little lap line here and there, it's not going to be as noticeable as if it were just a straight line down the wall. What I do here is I take a little dry brush sometime where the rag won't get and kind of clean a little bit of that off where it's not too heavy up in the edges.
Okay. Now notice in the same bathroom you have kind of a similar look over what appears to be a mural there on the wall.
Yes, we had a local artist come in this particular home and do this, and I took this same glaze and went on top of that mural and enhanced it, aged it, gave it a little nice antique look.
Yeah, it does kind of help it blend in color-wise to everything else you have going on here. Now, so after we have our wall prepped, you're able to do what you're doing here and applying it with the roller. You come back with a rag, take care of it around the perimeter with the dry brush, and then what's left after that? That's basically it.
That's pretty much it. You can put a clear water-based finish on top of it if you like to for extra durability or to even out the sheen, but most of these, like this particular technique, I just leave.
Okay. Well, another thing that's real popular these days is the actual glazing of regular painted cabinets. And when we come back, David's going to take us to another project and show us how he can really enhance a set of plain Jane cabinets into a really nice look. Stay with us.
It's time to pick up a few tricks of the trade from Danny and home repair expert Joe Truini in this week's Simple Solution, brought to you by DuPont Tithing. Build it once, build it right.
Well, Joe, looks like you're cutting up a perfectly good fence here. What's going on?
Well, it looks that way. Actually, the fence is in great shape. It's the posts that we were having trouble with. These posts were originally cut square. And what happens is every time it rains, the water soaks into it, and then the post expands and the wood winds up splitting. So what I've done is I'm cutting it at a slight angle so that next time it rains, the water will run right off.
That's a lot of work to do with just using a handsaw.
Yeah, it would be if you used just a handsaw, but what I actually did is I took 1x2 cleat and I screwed it to the back of the fence post about 3 inches down from the top. And then I took a circular saw and set it at a 15-degree bevel and made a cut. Now, it won't go all the way through the post, because it only cut about 3/4 of the way, and then I just finished it up with the handsaw.
But so many homeowners now have a reciprocating saw. Why wouldn't you use that?
Well, you could, but in this case, the fence panel is so close to the post, I was afraid just getting in there, I'd wind up cutting it to the panel. And plus, it would be almost impossible, because the blade's so flexible, to get a nice straight square cut like that.
Now, after you've cut all of these posts off, are you going to put any sealer up there? It looks like that would be still a good idea to keep that rain from soaking in.
Yeah, you'd have to, because even though this is a pressure-treated post, the pressure-treating chemicals never soak all the way to the center of the post. So just a couple of coats of clear wood preserve, and you probably should do that at least once a year.
I see.
That'll help keep it from cracking, as this one had.
Okay, well, you've got quite a job ahead of you. There's a lot of fence posts here.
Well, you arrived just in the nick of time then.
Uh-oh. Well, they really look pretty nice just like they are. Now, this house is in the process of being completed, and the homeowners at the last minute decided they wanted a little something extra on these cabinets, and David came up with a good solution. What are you going to do to them, David?
Well, I've been asked to do an antiquing glaze on these and take them and add some character to them, and this is a sample that I prepared for them. Taking one of the doors and taking the glaze and making it look somewhat like a door that might have been hand brushed 30 or 40 years ago and is now aged.
It does. It does look like a much older cabinet than what it actually is. Now, this type of decorative painting, is it much different than really doing this technique on a wall?
It's very similar. You just have a different type of surface and different detail and different way you go about it. I like to use an oil or a lacquer base as opposed to the regular latex eggshell that we have on the walls a lot of times.
That's mainly for the durability part of it.
I think so. I think it holds up better when you're using the cabinets a lot and the kids are hitting it and that sort of thing.
Okay, well, show us how you're going to make this look like this.
Okay. I like to moisten it first with a little thinner. I'm using an oil-based system, which is my preference. And then I will take my color, which is a glazing liquid, a clear medium, and I actually make the colors myself. We had the help of an interior designer to help us arrive at the right kind of color combination that'll work. And I'm going to do the inside panel right now, just to start out and then save the outer edge.
Now generally, when we're doing anything where we're painting over a glossy surface, we're usually having to sand that so that it will adhere to it, but it's really not a problem in this type of application, I guess.
Not as much. We did sand these lightly, though.
Okay. And what about the direction of this? I know the grain of the wood, when you're actually staining something that has no finish on it, you have to be very careful to go with the grain of the wood. Is that much of a problem here?
I like to do it that way. I like to keep it in line with the direction here. And you see how I'm dry brushing this. This brush had no paint on it to begin with, and I try to keep it clean with the rag. And you see I'm leaving it darker up in the corners in the grooves.
Yeah, that's real subtle. It's just a real slight coloring on that.
And a lot of times, especially on this simple detail on this particular door, I'll come back later after it's dried and add a little bit more dark for character too.
Okay, all right. And what about after this is finished and completely dry? Do you have to do anything beyond that? Maybe any type of clear sealer or anything?
I actually do like to use a clear water-based sealer. It won't ever yellow on you and it holds up real nice.
Okay, so you'll do the same thing on all the styles and the basic body of the cabinets throughout the whole thing?
That's right.
Okay, well, I'm anxious to see the overall look of this.
Well, actually, I've got one right around the corner I recently completed and we can take a look at.
Great. Well, this really is a great looking set of cabinets here, David.
Thanks. You know, the one thing I like about this particular project is the detail in this molding here. The corbels, the molding, the doors, the profile really shows up the detail where you can see the dark lines in it really good.
Now, I guess some other options would be maybe going a little darker, a little lighter, or almost any kind of color to really change it up a little bit.
Right, I make all kind of variations and adapt for each particular project too.
Okay, what are some other options when you're talking about this type of look on cabinets?
Well, I've done some where you really make them look old. You can do it with the crackle effect first.
Oh, okay.
And then glaze that, looks great.
Okay, all right. Now, I know that I see a lot of marbleizing and everything, but I understand that's kind of more of an advanced faux finishing technique.
Well, if you want it to look like genuine marble, which is what I try to achieve.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And now, where would you use some of that at normally?
Well, I'd try to put it on a real surface that you would find real marble, like a fireplace mantle or columns. I've done it on baseboards and crown molds and even put the little grout lines every couple of feet to make it look genuine.
Yeah, I love that look. Sounds great. Hey, thanks so much for taking so much time with us, David. Now, when we come back, we're going to look at some other alternate wall surfaces that you may want to try around your house. Stay with us.
Now let's join Danny at the Home Center to check out this week's best new product, brought to you by the Home Depot.
Now, many of the items that you may have on your to-do list probably involve cleaning something around your home. So anytime I'm in a home center and I see something that'll make cleaning a little easier, I pay attention. Now, here's a good one. Now, this is a good quality push broom. It's called the Jet Sweep water-powered push broom, and it's well made with a nice aluminum handle, plenty of supports here, and then you have your bristles right on the end, well, certainly long-lasting. But what really sets this one apart from a normal push broom is the ability to hook a standard garden hose to it. You put your garden hose on the end of this coupling, slip it right on, and the water is forced down through the handle and comes out through the 6 water jets that you see that are located just above the bristles. Now, this will allow you to really speed along on those jobs such as cleaning an asphalt driveway, cleaning your concrete patio, or even cleaning up your wood deck. Now, that water really blasts out of there while you're using the bristles. Then when you're ready to dry off the surface that you're working on, you just turn it over and the rubber squeegee that's on the end allows you to push the water right off the surface that you're working on. Now, this really will make a project go a lot easier, and I can certainly see a lot of ways I could use this around my house, and the cost a little bit less than $50. We've picked a nice rainy day project today, just kind of practicing a few of the techniques that David Walton, our decorative painter, mentioned earlier. Now, he also mentioned that this is an extremely popular do-it-yourself project. It's even easier now with some of the tools that are available. Now, this is a roller handle that has 2 separate covers that you put on. Now, this one I'm kind of simulating the rag technique that David talked about. And we're also working in conjunction with the double-sided roller pan that we have that allows you to keep the 2 colors of paint separate. Now, you can get even other effects by trying other roller covers. The sponge covers will really allow us to simulate that look that so many people like that you can get by using a sponge. Now, again, you just coat it evenly on each side, just like you would a regular roller pad. But when you're applying it to the wall itself, it's a few things different. First of all, when you're doing decorative painting, you want to interlace the colors as much as you can to start blending the 2 colors as much as you can together. Now, while it's still wet, you'll want to come back and trim out around the edges, but basically you just keep rolling it on, and after a while just kind of step back and make sure you're getting the kind of look that you want. With other roller covers, you can create almost any kind of decorative finish that you want. But I would caution you to do exactly what we've done here, is experiment a little bit before you take on one of your bedrooms or bathrooms. Now, let's look at some other finishes that you can apply to walls in your home, especially if you're looking at one of your kids' rooms. Cork is a great idea to install on one of the walls or all of the walls of a bedroom. It comes in 12 by 12 squares. It's about a 1/4 inch thick, and if one of your children like to crank up the music a little bit, this will help you acoustically to block out some of that sound. But it virtually makes one large bulletin board. You can put any kind of little note to yourself along the way, or they can put any of their posters or any of their artwork right on the wall. Now here's another one. This is actually magnetic paint. Now it comes in just a regular can just like this, and the manufacturer recommends that you put on 2 coats as we've done here using one of the foam or sponge brushes. Now you can sand this a little bit and apply a regular coat of paint on it so that it matches in with the rest of the walls, but what's neat about it is it actually acts as a magnet. You can put any of the little letters, or you can actually allow your kid to have some fun there with some of the flat magnets that really work the best. But this is very easy to apply and can really be a lot of fun in some feature area in one particular room. Now another idea is to create one wall as a chalkboard. Again, it's just regular paint that you mix up real well, and you apply a couple coats on it, allow it to dry, and after you do that, you're able to have a little fun right on the wall. Another thing you can do to create a very interesting interior wall in your home is to add a little texture, and it's really fairly easy to do. Let me show you what I mean. Now this is another panel of drywall that we've spread just a little bit of joint compound, a very thin layer of regular joint compound, and then to create the texture you can use a number of things that you may have around the house. A trowel like this that has a notch makes a nice little vertical kind of a combing effect that you can go straight or wave it a little bit. A lot of different ways you can go with that, or you may go with a look like this. The main thing is just to try to keep a nice consistent look to it as you go across your wall. That's one way to do it. Now you can also grab something that you might not even think about using, a comb like this, and create kind of a combing effect, either going straight down or again curving it a little bit. Now you can do this either in drywall compound like we have here, or thick wet latex paint. Now I've even seen David Walton use a squeegee where he's notched it out and created an effect on the wall by moving it around in a certain pattern. So almost any way you want to approach a wall like this, you can really have a lot of success with it, but do like we've done and practice a little bit first.
Let's head outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Tricia Craven-Worley. Brought to you by TimberTech Composite Decking. Less work, more life.
There are so many uses for red wagons around the house, but looks like you found yet another one.
This is a great way to prolong the growing period for tomatoes and other plants.
Now, so you just roll them in and out, you don't even take them out of the wagon at all?
That's right. They just stay in the wagon, and during the daytime and wonderful sunshine hours and good weather, I just have them out here on the deck, and then at night I wheel them back into the garage.
Well, it looks like these tomatoes are doing great. Do you have to do anything different in anticipation of using the wagon? Anything different in terms of the planting?
Well, we want to make sure, first of all, that the pots are going to fit into the cart. And these tomato plants are just right on the edge of needing to be repotted because we definitely don't want them to get root bound. Also, we want to make sure that they're staked properly so that the movement back in the cart is not going to give them any problems. And third, maybe most importantly, we need to make sure that they're going to fit through the doorway into the garage or wherever we're going to store them during the evening.
Well, these apparently are doing very well because they are almost getting big enough that you won't be able to get them in the door. But this overall, this is really a great idea.
Well, thank you. And you know, it's really not that new of an idea. Homeowners have been doing this for a long, long time.
Huh.
Well, let me tell you, one pretty well-known homeowner, Louis XIV at the Palace of Versailles,
Okay.
he did this very thing. And he had an orange grove, or orange trees and citrus trees, which he would have out during the good months of the year. And when it would become wintertime, he would have them moved into a place called L'Orangerie, which was an inside building on his property.
Well, I bet they wish they had a few red wagons.
No doubt.
Well, this week we've really seen some unique interior decorative finishes for your home. Now, all of these won't be for everybody, but there's so many different finishes to choose from. Hey, I'm glad you were with us this week. We'll see you soon. Your heating and cooling system is important to the comfort of your home. Join us next week to find out what makes it tick.
Thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner. And don't forget to like, comment, and hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified of new videos.
And be sure to click around and watch some more videos while you're here.